All right. What is mini proposal? So, like I mentioned, it's a process. I also opened it up in the Miro board, and in the process, it will. So basically, it's a way to write the proposal. When I started doing it, like the first thing was I took the commute advisor guideline pretty much and the proposal guideline. And the first thing was there to explain what's your title and then go to the problem and then make a solution and have a roadmap and have a KPI. But it felt like it's in a weird order, but and so I just started. I tried to follow it, but then realized some things I could have done in a different order. So this mini proposal process is like almost it's like a sequence of things or modules you can and questions, pretty much the questions, and then you answer, and then you go deeper into questions. So I use a lot of root analyzing methods where you answer like, oh, what is a problem for you? And then you answer, okay, these are problems to me. And then you have to go, okay, why is this your problem? And then you explain it more deeply why it's your problem. And what you see in here on the screen is example like that. What problem you see, you answer, you go deeper until you get nice answers. And then what solutions do we need? And it will go on, then you go do some branding, like thinking, then you have some roles, you then think, then you're gonna like explain what kind of proposal it is. So the sequence might not be right all the time, but this is what we will learn, where we're gonna get hiccups, where we're gonna switch up. And one thing what I always mention is that when we talk about mini proposals, we want to keep the requirements quite low. And what I mean by low is that in my way, I made myself a deal that if I won't ask more than 3,000 data. So that meant I have to scope really deep into actual like scope down the request I'm doing. But that also helped me to actually create the cohesive proposal. For example, in the fund 5, which just ended, I created 2 examples of mini proposals, like how it would look like. And one measurement was that the commute advisors rated it 4 or above, which is good in a way because in an application where people vote, they will be top proposals. In my mind, it means that the commute advisors understood what is this proposal about. And now the difference between 4 and 5 was that is that really impactful, or does it fit to this challenge? But overall, it was quite understandable and felt like, yeah, this can be done by me, who people don't know. And the second thing is both these proposals got funded. So this means even the voters like really know, oh, okay, this helps us. Let's so it's not like some kind of big proposal where we ask like 50,000 or 100,000. Oh, this is a huge one, and there are so many like missing or loose ends where the questions can arise and like steer away. I don't know about that and vote no or assess differently. So yeah, any questions so far?
I do have a question, and sorry if I'm getting ahead of you, but is there a difference between a proposal and a mini proposal in terms of the actual Catalyst system, or are you just calling it a mini proposal because that's what you're showing us how to do it in a simple way, but it's the same thing?
Yeah, it's a way to access the proposal process in a mini way. Yeah, so it's a kind of like a workshop to train people, get people used to the idea of the larger proposals, and also to see if it's a way that can be used to draft proposals themselves as well. So sorry, Tevo.
Was part of the idea that there would be a bunch of mini proposals added into a larger proposal? Was that something you were talking about at one point, Tev?
Yeah, that's also a possibility. for example, these mini proposals are created. One was like creating a bot for Discord channels. They actually were part of a bigger proposal, which was the let's fund these mini proposals before IdeaScale. And these were examples of what mini proposals look like. Unfortunately, with miscommunication, the proposal was withdrawn. But I will rejoin, and we will see where it goes. One day, maybe there will be a different challenge where these mini proposals will run, and they will have their own like specific funding model inside the IdeaScale.
I actually just got Miro, so I'm kind of playing around in there to see how you made this. I guess my question is about how this would interact with Catalyst in terms of like sharing this and then getting feedback or allowing commenting, if this, process can include the community feedback.
Yeah, I think it actually is quite good to get community feedback. I also added the link to my proposals to this Miro board, and every time somebody added or commented, I got an email to my box and then straight to the Miro board. And you can have, if he's online right there, then you can actually see him and talk to him, give him a Discord handle or something, and get. But either way, the Miro board is actually just for brainstorming and getting all the information out. And one thing to notice here, like there are color boxes. In the blue ones, you pretty much write the final answer for the problem statement, which goes to the IdeaScale. So here is like all the stuff, but all the like, but every chapter has its result, and it will be written on IdeaScale. So yeah, like if you go through all of this process, you pretty much can like copy paste all the stuff together and put it on IdeaScale. I did some formatting, and that was it. I didn't do more extra work. Everything I did on the Miro board. But it's also a nice thing to show, hey, how did the brainstorming happen and graphs and stuff.
So I've voted in a few Catalyst rounds, but I'm pretty new to like the IdeaScale, and I've been thinking about putting together proposals. And I was curious from your experience if like coming with kind of a mini proposal and letting it turn into something bigger or is a good strategy, or whether like coming with a very like fleshed out proposal is a better strategy. And if you just have any thoughts about that.
I think sorry, Tevo. I mean, I think a mini proposal might be a way to flesh out an idea, certainly. And I suppose partly that's what insight sharing might be doing this coming week. I mean, it's always good to get feedback from the community on whatever you're doing to try and learn in an iterative process to go back and forth. And I suppose this workshop in a way is trying to reproduce some of that. But I don't think there's a direct answer to what you're saying, because it depends on the idea. Because it depends on how much resources you need, and how big a scale the idea is going to be, I suppose. Sorry.
If you're, let's say you're talking about like a $50,000 to $150,000 scale or bigger, is a mini proposal a possibility, or do you need a bigger proposal?
In my mind, I still prefer doing a mini proposal, even if I know the plan is going to cost me 100,000. Yeah, I could put down the bigger goal where I want to reach, but then scope it down. Okay, if I'm gonna do a Catalyst school, I would need methods there. Okay, what kind of method? And then so the problem is what kind of methods you need in school, and then you're gonna have solutions for, okay, this method. Okay, I'm now going to brainstorm. Okay, this is the best method I could start with. So you crunch it down to the minimum viable product, pretty much, and this is a one mini proposal. One way to put it up is like you just do a bunch of like, where you have, let's say you want to ask $100,000, then you break it down into 30 mini proposals. And now community can choose and vote, okay, I want this method, this class, this this kind of tools to use, and that would be very modular. But if you feel like it's going to be chaos and you need some specific parts, then you can always put them together and just refine them and just increase, because it's up to you how do you make your proposal. But this process just helps to answer the most required questions. And once you have that, then you can go to the next level and next level.
Right. So are we going to decide on what we're doing, or have we already decided that we're refining the process, or are we going to do a new proposal?
Yes. I don't know. Adam, what do you feel like? Do you want to do some proposal, get into that? Or
yeah, for me, it definitely would be creating a new proposal, because that's, I don't know how to do, and I don't have enough knowledge to work through enhancing this process. I'm trying to learn.
So we could run with something, couldn't we?
Yeah. Aiden? Terry?
Yeah. In
Also,
terms of my views of mini proposal or refining the process.
Yes.
I mean, I'd be super happy to go through the creating a new mini proposal process. That's something that at least like the player mint team is looking at doing is in Fund 6. How do you kind of split up a kind of big project into a bunch of little tasks and then submit those all as proposals? So I think new proposal would be great. So I could kind of go through that experience and then, bring that knowledge back to the rest of the player mint team.
Cool. And I think Terry's saying in chat, new proposal would be great as well. So Peter, have you got any views on what we should do?
I honestly just joined a couple minutes ago, so I'm just listening at this point.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, we're looking at discussing whether we should do a workshop where we just run through a quick new proposal or review the process. But we seem to be going towards doing a new proposal or getting in there. So what's the next steps then, Tevo? What if it's a new proposal?
I don't know. Let's just get into it. I'm gonna ask the question, give you some background, and let's see what comes up.
Okay.
So, what problem you see? So let's start with the problems you want to solve or what you see there.
Okay.
Good. Adam, how would you start? What is your problem? And if you are on a Miro board, I can give you a link. You can also add your stickies there.
Oh, thanks. I wonder if I could do it from an iPad, but I could try. Let's see. I was going to say knowing who to trust and what information to trust on the internet.
Knowing who to. Aiden, you had some. We wanted to do mini proposals about your stuff. What problem you are solving with?
Yeah, I guess we're kind of coming up with those right now. So here I got to give it a little bit of thought. I'll probably just do one that's just kind of more Cardano blockchain overall related. I guess like a problem I see is how do you make transacting like the digital assets minted on top of Cardano more social? So right. Like how do we make it so I can send around NFTs and native assets or ADA as easy as it is to use like a service like Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo.
Yeah.
So making transacting more social.
That's a good one.
Maybe integrations into social media or like Discord, that kind of idea.
Yeah, exactly. Like how could we use something like Yoroi as a I guess that's getting to the solution side, so I'll hold off on that.
Okay.
Peter, Terry, what problems you will see or want to highlight already existing?
Okay, I just want to be sure. Are we talking specifically about Cardano right now then, or just generally?
Generally.
Yeah, generally. Any problem that you think could be solved from a fund. That could be particularly within the Cardano world, or solved by the Cardano platform or ecosystem?
Basically, even if you're annoyed that in a backyard you have a volcano and it's too hot, then your problem will be how do you make it colder, or how could you use that?
That's fair. That's fair.
And later we can figure it out how do we build it into Cardano and make use of that volcano.
Okay. I mean, those volcanoes, they're really tricky, those ones. Yeah, so,
but if nothing right now comes up, it's all right, because we have quite good questions. And Terry, do you have any?
I do have the problem statement that I'm working on is what I'll kind of mention. Is that okay? Or
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So mine's a little bit different. I mean, mine's basically focusing on how can we create an ecosystem that promotes long-term holding of ADA and other Cardano supported projects by allowing you to leverage the equity in your Cardano based assets. I don't know if that was a little long, but basically on a very small scale, it's how can we create an ecosystem that promotes long-term holding of Cardano projects by allowing you to leverage it.
Okay.
Like a rewards program, it sounds like.
That's projects, not participants, is it?
Okay. Now there are two options right now. We won't be able to create an entire proposal anyway. So what I propose is let's make all of these three problems a crude problem statement, what we could actually use in IdeaScale. Would you be up for that? So that means we don't only take one thing, and we pretty much make like three of these.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Just gonna copy paste them somehow. And that actually is one making a bit of design changes, because I have realized that it is much easier later in a collective way if we have only one result. So yeah, that's beside the point. Okay, three things. So the next question would be why, but with that why I mean is like if you have a question how to know who to trust, then why is it important to know who to trust? How would you answer that?
I would say so that you can find truth.
Or you could say, or I'll just add in here, you could probably say that it also creates like more reliable economic and social just relationships between people that like don't just burn out after like one encounter, you know, because that happens a lot in like online spaces right now.
Social, what was it? So reliable social. You made
like reliable social truth or trust. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, trust. Yeah.
Yeah, trust.
And possibly to establish
to
reputation.
Increase reliable. Oh, increase or improve. Is it quantifiable?
I feel like it's quite hard to quantify trust.
How to improve trust. So, but right now we kind of reworded it with the more complex stuff. I think it could be that in here the why is quite hard to. But why do we need trust? But word it in a way that it's a problem statement. How could we? So the problem is that we don't have reliable social trust.
I mean, to me, the reason I added that first post-it is it's about finding accurate information so that you can know the true state of the world. like news or data. Yeah, there you go. Like basically combating misinformation.
Finding accurate information is complicated and takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of time. Now, if we compare, and then I actually do it why twice. So, but then I think we're gonna get into a loop when we ask why finding accurate information is complicated. Could we answer that? Why is it complicated? Is it because
of bad actors?
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes a long time usually to like gauge whether like a outlet or somebody's like gauge somebody's intentions for why they're posting online or whatever it be.
Yeah, I'd also say it's easier to create false information than true information.
That too.
Bad actors. Easier to create false information. And there was a third thing I kind of missed. The time thing. I kind of have it. Yep. So now, can we use this information to write the problem statement? What would we prefer? Because we in the problem statement in IdeaScale we have 140 characters, so I don't. It's hard to fit both of these things, but maybe we could. But these are actually quite good now, because we can say that the problem is that we have a lot of bad actors in there. But then again, I will kind of disagree. I haven't seen actually that many bad actors. But I do see there is a lot of false information when you go to YouTube or Twitters, and because other channels or all this, I feel like there is so much competition, and the false information is a good way to, hey, don't go to the Cardano, or don't go to the Tevo, or don't go there because they are doing this, and there is this group, and like a lot of thought. So I would try to use this route of easier to create false information. So, and the problem statement will be, it's hard to distinguish between false information and truthful information.
Ooh, I think I might have a good like synthesis here. How can we reliably improve trust by creating or decreasing the time it takes to ascertain somebody's reputation? Maybe that's maybe a start.
How can you write it down so I can just copy it?
Yeah, 1 second.
I'll try as well.
So, but that's a question, but we need to kind of turn it into problem statement. So So
yeah, it has to have that language.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
When you say problem statement, you're saying just like stating the problem and not the solution, or does it include how you might use? Okay.
No, it only states the problem. So when somebody goes to the IdeaScale, this is the first thing they kind of read, and then it's like, this is the problem, and this is like a statement. And now, if he agrees with that, then he's going to continue with reading. If he doesn't, then he's going to flip to the next proposal.
Yeah, it's a good hook. Yeah.
So, while you think you can write, I'm going to try to rephrase it on a sticky note what I earlier said. Easier to create so.
So I suppose the problem reverses some of these kind of, because we're kind of touching already on some solutions here, aren't we, in terms of making it easier to create information that is reliable. So the opposite of that would be, it's too easy to create false information. And I mean, is it hard to always think of a problem first? Do you rush to a solution? Do you find, Adam, or others are?
That's a good point. I mean, I feel like it can be useful to go back and forth, and maybe sometimes you have more of one and more of the other. But I do think it tends to be easier to go straight to a solution. Maybe I'll take a stab at it too, which is maybe we could say it's too easy to create and distribute false information on the internet, and too hard to successfully distribute true information. Or it's too hard for the true information to win out over the false information. Or
maybe not true information, just because truth is really
I know
it's really hard for truth to just ever be like a objective thing in people's minds, because everybody's always going to disagree, even when we have a system like this. So maybe trustworthy information would be the better word.
Too hard to find trustworthy information.
Yeah, because sometimes stuff can change, and I think trustworthy would be a better word.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, straight.
Yeah, I'd also say like it's a part of it is knowing if it's trustworthy or not. Like how could you arrive at an article or something like that and instantly see it and know whether it's trustworthy, or it's kind of just this, it's just trying to spread misinformation because there's some sort of incentive that they have to do so. Like, for example, I think we see this a lot with like Cointelegraph and CoinDesk, especially regarding Cardano, where most recently they post this whole thing like, ADA holders are really excited about price movement, but professional traders don't have the same hope. And it's just kind of like, what, what is this? Yeah, like, what is this supposed to mean? Like, is this just spreading misinformation to try to like, put down the ADA bag holders? So I think there's an element of also just how can you make it easy to know pretty much instantaneously whether something's trustworthy or not. And that's extraordinarily difficult to do, but I think that a portion of it is also just identifying whether it's trustworthy or not.
So when you see a piece of information online, you don't know whether or not you can trust it.
Exactly. Like I think we've all learned tips of like, you got to check the author, you got to check their sources, you got to see if it's written from more of a bias and there's opinion in it and all that. And you have all these kind of tools, but I mean, in an age of AI and whatnot, this kind of gets to solution side of things, but in an age of AI, that can both be used to distribute and then also just kind of calculate information and review it. You kind of run into these problems where, especially with like bots, for example, there's been a lot of famous, people on Twitter who just have bots created around them, and they're able to go through Twitter's process and get verified. And, they have the same name as someone, but instead of an L, they have a capital I. So they look the exact same, and then they scam someone out of money. So it's like, how do you know what's truthful and what's not at a quick glance? Because all it takes is one mistake of trusting one false link or something like that, and then you're typing in your spending password or something. But yeah, I'd say that's another point of issue, at least for me.
Nice.
Because the AI's got to know you too, right? It's not the same for everyone. It's not like I'm not going to trust. I might trust something that you don't trust, and the system's got to allow for that too.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of getting that far out there. But
yeah,
every human has bias, no matter what. So it would be pretty cool to have some sort of AI that doesn't have any inherent bias and just searches for truth. That'd be kind of cool.
That's my dream.
Yeah.
So from tools, not decreasing the time it takes to produce. Okay. So from tools 2, I think these are the final versions right now. Did anybody write down? No. Which one would you choose on a proposal as for now? Like we don't It has to be just be official.
As the problem statement.
As the problem statement, yes.
Yeah.
I think if in the one to the right, if we change platforms to information,
Okay.
then I would say I think that's pretty good. And
Like that.
Right to know.
Who to trust and what information to trust. Okay, I suppose. Yeah, because I suppose platforms is a bit too specific at this stage. So
yeah.
it's just the world of information. We need to know how to, to trust in that world of information. Which is,
and I also, I mean, you're never going to trust or distrust Facebook. I mean, maybe you can, but each individual post on Facebook, you may, right? If it's from your parents or something, you trust it. If it's from, someone else, you don't trust it.
Nice.
Okay.
So that was one problem statement from one tiny question to an result. Let's try with another one. How can we make Cardano project maintain other long-term value? So why we need to make the participants to maintain ADA in long-term? Is it really needed? One thing is we are in an inflationary system right now, in the monetary system, where if you don't hold the deflationary asset, it's like you're gonna lose it. So one thing, if you keep it in ADA, then you know that it's going to appreciate in value, at least in my mind. But that's again that could get in a tricky area where some people are like, but if everybody leaves, but that's the point. If nobody leaves there and only people join in, then the value cannot go down.
It's about
regardless of that. Oh, pardon me.
No, go on. Go ahead, Terry.
Oh, okay, thank you. My problem statement is more focused around the fact that that any assets or that most people's net worth that's tied up in cryptocurrency is inaccessible to them. That they don't have access to those funds. Either they hold or they sell. So when we're talking about long-term value, that going down is basically because there's selling happening. And our idea is encouraging people to hold their assets, their Cardano-based assets, by using a system that we've created in a credit card form, basically, allowing you to collateralize your Cardano assets on a credit card.
Right. Okay. Is that to?
But that's a solution because
I'm jumping way ahead there. Absolutely, yeah.
No, but it's interesting to take a solution and turn that into a problem.
Right.
So is that because of volatility, or is it more about the not being able to access your net worth?
Correct. Absolutely. Especially Cardano's got a wonderful community. They're very loyal. But there is nothing other than the expectation that their asset's going to grow, in value based on Cardano and the network growing. There's no benefit in holding your asset, or you don't have access to the capital through it.
Right. Okay. And you don't have access to it. Why don't you have access to it? This is trying to.
Well, because you're holding.
Because you're holding, and you're holding because that's all you know what to do.
Well, no, because you support the project and you support the ecosystem through the project.
Okay, so because
the problems that we find is that then your money's tied up in the cryptocurrency. You don't have access to those funds.
Right. Okay, that's great. So the next net worth. I mean, so it's a bit like a vicious circle because you're invested in Cardano in the kind of ecosystem and the kind of the project. You're reluctant to get to make liquid those assets, but at the same time you need to make liquid those assets, or you need to. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, you need access to those to the funds would be what we would provide.
Okay.
Are you saying access to them, or just a way to create value from them without spending them? Because if I heard you correctly, like I could take the ADA I have in my wallet, maybe like stake it to like a collateral pool, and now another company is going to give me a credit card with a high limit and a good interest rate that maybe is all about US dollars, but I've staked my ADA on the line as collateral. And I get to keep the
100%.
ADA once eventually I get it back, right? So now I still have my 300 ADA or whatever, and I'm getting additional value out of it.
100% correct. Yeah. So we would loan you 50% value to asset on Cardano assets.
Oh, I see. So you're that again, but that's getting into the solution, isn't it? So
correct. Yeah, we're going way too deep here.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting. No, I don't want you to say, because I try to turn that back into a problem. Because the problem is that,
and for us ourselves, we're not even looking for financial backing here. We're looking for more expertise and support in that sense, in basically transforming our staking system, our governance system, and everything onto the Cardano network.
Sure.
To make this happen. And in turn, then I'm sorry, we're jumping way ahead again, but in turn, then we will then bring Cardano as a collateralizable asset onto the credit card for system that we're using.
So you're talking, I know it's off topic, but you're talking to other stake pool operators, and are you in contact with other stake pool operators and like Spokra, people like that?
I am not, no.
I don't know if I can give you a link to that. I'll try and find it I'll try and find the link that might be helpful, because they might be good to speak to. But
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But what I hear from here is actually the problem you're trying to solve is not that you want people to hold the ADA long term. You're still okay if they're spending it or like using it, but you're trying to make it so that they make most value out of their ADA.
Well, I guess it depends whose perspective you're looking at it from, right? You're absolutely right. Yeah. So from the shareholders' perspective, yes, they then are able to use their assets as collateral. From a community's perspective or from the company's perspective, then they have shareholders or token holders then that have incentive to hold their tokens for longer and, not to liquidate their assets.
I think the core problem that at least that solution's trying to combat is mainly just volatility of the price of ADA itself, because the more people have stuff locked up as collateral for some useful service like that, generally, the more people that are using a service like that, the volatility of ADA would go down over time as well, which would also make it a more attractive asset for long-term holding as well. So I think that's like primarily like the core. That seems like it's the core problem that it's combating.
There's also kind of a higher level problem in terms of, because you seem to be sort of trying to transfer an economic model across to a stake pool operator and all the, to build a financial system. And then I suppose the problem is how to encourage and enable people to build their systems on Cardano, and what resistances there are to that. Would you say?
If it could encourage people to build onto the Cardano network in any way, that's I would support that fully. But I don't. Yeah, the product or the service that we would offer, I guess doesn't focus on that necessarily, on the growth of expansion on the network itself.
No, but what resistances have you found, Terry? Have you found any? What's the biggest problem that you face in terms of? Would you say is it not knowing the process, or?
Actually our biggest problem right now is the Ethereum network, I guess.
Right.
Holding people back really. So we're just looking to branch off and bridge off into some other networks and support some other networks. So our product's ready to go. We've already partnered with other companies. It's not a matter of our product not being available, and we can already collateralize other assets. Our goal is in then partnering or building a relationship with Cardano and expanding into that network.
Sure.
And I'm hoping this is the correct platform for it. I mean, you might be looking at me or listening to me like I'm crazy right now, thinking this is
no, you're making perfect sense. I'm interested in what resistances you're having in terms of trying to get onto Cardano, I suppose, to make that easier. So
access to expertise.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, we're looking for
you should join a Swarm session in chat today, and maybe we could even make a breakout room for that. But currently, I would actually still try to focus on creating problem statements.
Sorry,
and
yeah.
we are getting.
My apologies, guys.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said it back, but we try to get back to the problem, which, so if we focus back on the problem, Tevo, yeah.
Terry, are you also in Discord, any of the Discords?
I am in the Discord and the Telegram, yeah.
In the Catalyst Discord?
I am, yeah.
Okay, and my handle is Tevo, and I will look for you, Terry, there too, so we can continue discussion outside.
That's wonderful. My name is Orange in there.
Okay. All right, so back, how to create value. So we can change the question, how to create value from ADA without spending them. But again, now the question is, why is it a problem that users or participants do not make most out of their ADA when they spend them? Or is it even a problem?
I think I actually have to hear that whole question over again. I think I lost about halfway through there. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like give it a why question, like why, and I trying to like, why is it the problem that, and now we use the question, that problem that the participants spend ADA, like participants.
Isn't the problem?
Let's ask that.
Well, isn't the problem holding on to the asset is stopping that asset becoming liquid? Is that it in essence?
Absolutely, sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tevo, the problem is that people holding ADA without spending it is making it not liquid. It's not taking advantage of its liquidity potential. Do you want me to write that?
So the problem is participants holding the ADA.
Participants who, well, ADA holders who just hold ADA are not taking advantage of the potential liquidity. That's it. So ADA holders who just hold ADA, who just hold the, are not taking advantage of liquidity possibilities, I suppose. Sorry, we're getting there.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's just try and get nuts and bolts, isn't it? Really. So
it is.
It's the entire call is so everybody understands what's the problem is.
No, sure.
Collectively, it's the best way to do it. ADA holders who only hold ADA don't take advantage of ADA. Like this, lot of ADA here.
No, of liquidity.
Of the are not taking advantage of liquidity options, put it that way, or options can actually imply something else. So I would say possibilities rather than options, because options can mean options.
Yeah,
as in option trading. Sorry.
The one, I think the liquidity might be a word that is like.
Well, liquidity. Okay, I'm not sure how to. Terry, what's a plain English way of describing liquidity in less than a sentence?
And maybe
buying power.
Buying power. Yeah, it's.
Would you call it liquid equity?
Yeah.
One thing, maybe who only hold ADA, I don't think we need to mention that. So ADA holders don't take advantage of liquidity possibilities. Yes.
Let's say can't, maybe ADA holders can't take it.
Yeah, cannot. Yeah. I suppose you don't have to mention why, because that's obvious from, yeah.
Yeah, if you're holding, you're holding.
Yeah.
Oh, so what I change here, word?
So I'm just coming back.
So not the ADA holders, but who?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. ADA holders can't take advantage of liquidity possibilities.
Yeah, that's That's more general. That's quite a good problem statement. Yeah. What you're not mentioning there is the why, but the why is a part of the solution, maybe. So because they're holding on to ADA, because there's a tendency to hold on to ADA is maybe part of the. But actually, that's another part of the problem, isn't it? Sorry.
Did somebody delete the sticky note?
Yeah, I just deleted it because you just rewrote it. So.
But I rewrote it in a different wording, so I was like trying to show the process.
Okay.
But
I can undo that. There you go. How about that?
Nice.
Should just over where you have the ADA holders can't take advantage of liquidity, should that be loyal perhaps, so it doesn't seem as if that's actually a problem statement that ADA holders can't take advantage of liquidity?
But I wonder, like, why it can't, and like, isn't that staking kind of help with liquidity, or liquidity is something more else than just like?
Yeah, I mean, because staking is just giving you a return, an interest return. It's not liquidity.
Liquidity is a bit of a confusing term here because it's
sure.
different. Can't take advantage of.
It could be words. It can't take advantage of the transfer of assets. That's maybe more. I mean, it's not quite the same. Because I mean, liquidity isn't just the transfer of assets. It's the ability to use the currency or the cryptocurrency. I mean,
transactions.
Not necessarily just in transactions, but in terms of just beyond staking. So when you stake something, you are getting a return, okay, but you're still you're still holding the ADA. Terry seems to be, and it is quite true. There's a tendency for people to hold ADA, and I suppose there's a good side to that. There's also a bad side to that. The bad side to that is that can we free that up in some way to create more? I mean, I don't want to. I'm trying to not use jargon here. Like, I'm thinking financial instruments, but more ways of utilizing that asset in financial terms in different. Is that what you just say, Terry?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, the way I would explain that is to utilize different financial instruments, but that's jargon. So I would say products, different. To transfer your assets in different ways, that kind of thing. And I suppose the problem would be that people are not doing that enough at the moment. Do you see what I mean, Tevo?
Absolutely, yeah.
So particularly as DeFi comes along, we need to scale this up a bit. Yeah.
Okay, this is. I wonder, maybe this is the final problem statement. Other holders can't take advantage of transfer of assets. But if we could put one final spin to it, why does it matter? Well, like, why should other holders take advantage of transfer of assets?
They shouldn't. We think ADA holders should hold their assets and take advantage of the liquidity within them. That can be provided from elsewhere, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's why the transfer of assets
basically
was
being able to use ADA as a bank, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the transfer of assets was misleading term, really, because that's just one way to use it. So it's more.
It's taking advantage of the. I'm going back to the word liquidity again here.
No, I know.
Maybe that has to be liquidity.
Yeah, it has to be. I think you should. It's not about transfer of assets. Yeah.
Take advantage of the equity of their assets, or is that
equity value? Maybe.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, because that gets us out of liquidity.
Yeah, thank you.
Liquidity is a bit of a buzzy term.
Yeah.
But now if we ask why other holders should take advantage of liquidity.
Right. That's
value.
this gets interesting now. Yeah. Yeah. So why should they?
I mean, that's like any financial asset. It's about just making money in capitalism, right? This is like very core.
I think it's probably so they have less leverage in other financial institutions that they might trust a lot less than ADA. Or I don't know if
That's
it's
a good
leverage.
point. I like that.
That's a nice way.
Because I feel like I could
That's more
trust ADA a lot
specific.
more than JP Morgan Chase or
Yeah.
Yeah,
honest,
it's to make holding ADA an alternative to holding traditional financial assets.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that leverage bit is quite interesting because it's it's leveraging ADA stroke Cardano as a financial platform, isn't it? So over traditional banks. Yeah, it's got that. Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, because like if you have like $1 million ADA, but you don't want to sell it because you'd probably take a lot of exchange fees and all that stuff, and then obviously you're out of the game at that point.
Yeah.
If you just need like 500K to like maybe get a loan for us, and it's collateralized and held by someone else, so it's not like you can pull it out and scam.
What's the end game? Is the end game to make ADA replace the financial system? Yeah.
It would just give you a lot more security in that aspect. Yeah.
Okay. And now if you change the last wording into problem statement, so it would be ADA holders don't have leverage over traditional banks.
I would say yes. Yeah. What the traditional banks have leverage over us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which is bad, because we're kind of in stock to banks essentially. Because
isn't it more though about leveraging the assets, not leverage over the banks? So like something like ADA holders can't leverage their ADA the way they can leverage traditional financial assets.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
So
There's other systems like ours out there that would liquidate your assets, for example, and our system and working with Cardano would be in providing collateral to those assets instead of liquidating them.
Did I word it correctly?
I think what I was saying is change it to ADA holders cannot leverage their ADA the way they can leverage traditional financial assets.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's good wording. Yeah.
And I lost half of it.
cannot leverage their ADA the way they can leverage
fiat currencies as well. Traditional.
I'd say traditional financial assets.
Yeah.
Which includes
that could
fiat.
be gold.
Yeah.
I mean, like people have pretty wide portfolios.
Yeah, sure. So I was just having a rant against the banks earlier, so I couldn't help it.
We want leverage over the banks.
I know, but you're right. It's not. That's another problem.
Is it correct?
That's a good one.
Yeah. ADA holders cannot leverage their ADA the way they can over.
Can leverage instead of the word over, right? Leverage.
Then I had two leverages.
That's fine.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. This is not about grammar. It's about the problem.
All right. Oh, that was a tricky one.
Yeah, but we got there. We got there. It's good.
So is it better than ADA holders can't take advantage of liquidity value? Yeah, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. That's
more specific.
Yeah.
Let me write it down.
It's quite an interesting problem, actually.
Yeah, Terry, do you have any contact info you'd mind sharing in the chat? I'd love to follow your project, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
Love to chat with all of you. Actually, I'll just throw my email in here.
Cool.
Yeah, welcome to Cardano. This is a long journey. Having 1 year now.
Really actually, it was Cardano. It was your community that brought me here. So a few of your members. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people in the community who will, particularly on the financial side, to be interested in this kind of thing, helping out as well. lots of potential for working with other people on as well. It's great.
Especially with staking pools and the profit that SPOs can bring.
Yeah,
it can be really good for that kind of operation.
Trying to find something. Breakout rooms, right? Okay, I'm just checking how others doing, and I forgot again to put the timer on the.
Oh, okay. We're probably over time, but yeah.
No, perhaps, but Aiden had to go before, and perhaps we could help him also to refine the last problem statement. So we have all that.
For another session, you mean? Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I gotta kind of run soon. I'll probably leave this on because I don't want to leave, but I have to do my day job. It sucks.
Is this recording going to be available, by the way, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm going to upload it on a Swarm YouTube channel, and I have your orange. I will try to find you, but yeah, I think you will find it. I will also post it on the Catalyst.
It'll also be on this Git book here. I'll just put that. There's a documentation of everything we do there in chat.
Oh, wonderful.
And if you go there, I do a lot of the documentation, and it's got like a history of what we do, all the links to the Swarm sessions, the town halls, voting results, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like
it may take.
Pardon me. Sorry, go ahead, Tevo.
It may take you 1 month, not 1 month, 1 week before I upload it, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I am trying to.
Now, when's the actual day where our proposals should be submitted?
Oh, the final date, you mean? The absolute final date's 2 weeks away, isn't it, Tevo? What's it?
Yes, in the 15 days. Pretty much is when you can start proposing, and then you have 7 days to submit it, but you don't have to have the final version. Pretty much the problem statement and the solution is enough, like to in the first week, and then you will have more discussions with the community. And you can.
But my advice would be you can submit your proposal after insight sharing, which is about a week from now. And I would just do that as soon as possible, because you or get your proposal in there as soon as possible, mainly for the community feedback, because that community feedback is really valuable. So I wouldn't leave it too late to do that.
Okay. I think somebody asked that at the beginning. I think they were asking if you recommended just putting it in when it's, let's just call it half-assed. And
that's fine. That's fine. It's more about getting into the system and getting some feedback, that kind of stuff.
I even suggested to put it half-assed in if you're quite new, because then you might get insights and the people are like, hey, you're missing this or you're missing that, and you have you thought about this or have you got that, and then you can have like a list of things. Oh, actually, I haven't thought about that, and you can add it to the proposal.
Wonderful, great idea.
Okay, great.
Anyway, from Aiden, how to make transaction more social?
This is Aiden's idea, isn't it?
To make it as a question would be, why do we want to make transactions more social?
Okay.
I can't write, but you can already suggest me. Why do
we want to make transactions? That's fine. That's fine.
I think. Well, I think I wonder, does it relate to reputation? But is reputation a social aspect?
I thought Aiden's point was more about, because it coming from the gaming perspective, it was more about the ease of the transaction, how to make it easier to transact. So like if you're in a gaming environment or if on social media, would it be possible to transact, say, an NFT or something via a tweet or an email? Or That's what I got from Aiden. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's mostly what he was going for.
Yeah.
Like, let's say this might apply to more my proposal even.
Yeah.
But basically, if you were to be able to like be in a game and like in the chat, basically say .tip the person in your game's name, and then you could just tip them like an NFT of some kind or ADA or whatever, and have it back or tied up to your wallet or something like that. Like that could be like kind of what he was going for in terms of decreasing the friction for getting people in on Cardano and introducing them.
Decreasing the friction, making so that's a good one too, but decreasing the friction, less resistance to transacting, I suppose. But again, it's a solution though, isn't it? But
yeah, it's too much.
So the problem would be there's too much friction, there's too much resistance on it's not easy enough to transact ADA.
That and being able to maybe have wallets, or this is going into the solution as well, but it might help us find more problems.
Yeah.
People that don't have Cardano wallets, but having a way to send them something before they even have access to a wallet. I don't really know if that's even possible, but without in a trustless way, but I think maybe some kind of way of doing that.
I think there's been discussions about that actually, because there's the way where I think people will be discussing, you kind of create wallets for people and then they redeem them.
Wallet vouchers maybe.
But that's again a solution. But the problem there would be, Tevo, when you go to your pool or something, you look at your NFTs, it's to make that more social. So it's a bit like having like I suppose the old-fashioned way of being saying having a stamp collection or something and being able to share that with people. And God, that dates me. But they kind of like, making that more easy. So like not just ADA, also NFTs, I suppose, and things that could be used in gaming tokens or gaming objects.
Yeah, I understand. But okay, decreasing the friction. So the problem is there is too big. The friction is too.
It's not social. Yeah, so it's antisocial. It's not the right words.
There's too much work to send the transaction.
It's too.
To somebody who's not in the network already.
Yeah, I suppose another thing is the impersonality. It's impersonal, isn't it? And you want to make it personal if you want to make it social, maybe.
Yeah.
And to personalize a transaction, why do you want to do that? You want to personalize it for fun. You might want to do it for fun. So yeah, again, that's solutions. So yeah, solutions.
I think it's good to go into solutions.
I know.
Backwards. I think it's so much easier, honestly.
Yeah,
it's fun to get the solutions, and then you can kind of like, this is how we would do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, why do you want transactions to be personal? That's an interesting question. I mean, you want them to
increase the rate of adoption of the network. For sure.
Yes, that's a good one. So the opposite of that would be it's a block to the increasing adoption. So not for transactions to be impersonal is a resistance to adoption. That's a problem.
Yeah. Because I mean, that and a lot of I was going to go into solutions again, but it wouldn't.
Yeah. No, go on.
I was more thinking of let's say it's just like via Twitter, like DMs, and you're sending somebody like a link to an NFT that they could redeem or something like that, and then having like an instruction set for how to redeem it.
Yeah.
And that would be a little way of gatewaying people into Cardano a little bit easier, and then you'd be sending them value.
Yeah.
So that would also increase the reason why somebody would want to check out Cardano as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also that's in competition with Ethereum, I suppose, and that, so it's that kind of, it's about driving adoption, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so we are getting. Why do we want the adoption rate of transacting is low? And yeah, because right now, if you're going to ask why do we want to adopt the adoption rate to increase, then it will bring us back to because we want to make transactions more social, I guess.
No, I mean, I think what we missed there, the adoption rate is slow because it's impersonal. So that's part of the problem, So it's not just that the adoption rate is slow, it's slow because it's impersonal. I mean, I suppose.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily impersonal, like as a state of being, but I guess it's not as personalized as it could be.
Yeah, it's a kind of shorthand, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not brilliant wording, I must admit, but it's the shortest word I can think of for the problem. But yeah, it's more about making it personal. But again, that's getting into that's solution language, So
yeah, I'm kind of blanking out also. I think we need Aidan here, but it did get better. So
are we at a problem yet? Do you think, Tevo? Do you think that's a problem?
The adoption rate of transacting is low because it's impersonal.
I would say it's not as high as it could be.
I think that because it's like a weird thing to put in a statement.
Yeah,
I would simply say it's low, and everybody who is agreeing with you, then they can go to read the solution, and then in a detailed plan you will say the impersonal stuff, and what you're gonna do with it, and then you're going to answer how you make it social.
Okay, I suppose because we've already documented the transaction is impersonal before, haven't we?
Yeah, and then he could perhaps hopefully use it.
Okay.
So
I think we're definitely over time now.
but before we close it, I'm gonna write it down here, and perhaps for the people who joined it, like he just joined in, but for everybody else who were trying to going through this process, like right now we didn't go through entire process, we just were in the first chapter out of 14 or even more, but
it's like Game of Thrones.
We did it 3 times, so
yeah.
How did you feel it? Was it what could be changed, and what were your expectations? Did we meet them?
To me was the usefulness of just talking through these use cases versus if we were just following this process on our own. So I wonder, right? Yeah. So it makes me, I mean, maybe the hackathon that's coming up is the right place, but it makes me want to find peers who are willing to bounce ideas off each other to help each other develop proposals. Yeah, and it'd be useful to see all 14 steps, but it's life.
You can do that now, and then in a week's time, you can submit your proposal properly.
Yeah, my proposal is a bit more specific because it's basically just DIDs for esports players. So
right. Oh, cool.
So because I think like esports would be a massive like social engine to push Cardano adoption. So like that's where I'm thinking like just what the problems I want to solve are more like how do we socially or one, how do you even get DIDs? Or I don't really know how to DIDs work in terms of like how do you make them and how would you like work it with a Taliprism and all that stuff. But how do we solve integrating that with those communities? Because it would actually probably be like jet fuel for those communities, because those communities like lack a lot of funding and a lot of ways of transferring value in like a way that's like a way more trustworthy, because right now it's not very trustworthy. So yeah.
So there's a kind of isn't there a DID challenge, or so there's an Attila Prism challenge, isn't there?
I think there's a Pioneer program actually that they're unveiling at the summit.
Oh, cool.
I'll try and get in there, but
yeah, sure. There's so much going on. It's hard to
so much,
keep track of what's going on. Yeah. So how did you find the session, Blake? You found useful talking about the process? Yeah.
No, it's great. I loved it. Yeah.
Cool.
I just love coming in these town halls. It's always really fun.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I find communities where or ever since I found the Cardano community, I'm like, oh, this is where all the people that like were really smart on the internet that I like would always love listening to on social media went like after 2016 and the internet just went insane. Like this is where everybody went. That's just kind of where like I found it. That's why I've just loved Cardano, because it's like, yeah, this is where all the smart people went.
Yeah. It's not entirely untrue, I suppose.
Yeah. All right.
That's great.
Terry, how did you like the?
Yeah, it was a great breakout. I really appreciate it. Very helpful. I felt a little not alone by any fault of anybody in the Cardano community, but just a little lost actually. So this is amazing. It gave me a lot of confidence. Thank you.
That's great. That's great to hear. Sorry, I was interrupting someone. Sorry.
There you go.
Guys, I just joined late. I'm gonna, so I'm rudely interrupting. I'm just intrigued by the interactive mind mapping that's happening here. I was just wondering, could somebody explain it, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, Tevo.
I mean,
yeah. So what we did is at the start, I tried my best to explain the mini proposal process, which is idea of creating proposals in IdeaScale in a way that they are like small scoped proposals, and what you can like module up into bigger ones or scale up later. And the process starts with pretty much questions, and then you answer, and then you take this answer and like iterate on that. And today we felt like we do the first session or first chapter 3 times. So everybody came with their idea or pretty much a problem or a problem they see. Like the first question was, what problem you see? And we had like 3 questions. How to know who to trust, how to create the value from ADA without spending them, how to make transactions more social. And then we took one by one of these and tried to reason why this is the like why it matters that we know who to trust. And we ended up with the solutions in the end, which we could put on IdeaScale. So when we started with how to know who to trust, we made it into problem statement, which is hard to know who, oh, wait, this is wrong. Hard to know who to trust and what information to trust. So it's a problem statement, which if you agree, then you're gonna read the proposal. Next one was how to create value from ADA without spending them. And ADA holders cannot leverage their ADA the way they can leverage traditional financial assets. And finally, how to make transaction more social. We ended up with the adoption rate of transacting is slow. And while we going from this like problem you see into statement, it also gives us more clarity of the problem itself. And in that tool, the mirror board, that process is also good to use in the future, because if you now go to the solution stage, you don't have just one word like, oh, this was the statement, and now you're gonna put the solution there, but you see the path, how did you get to this solution, and you might get more insight when building the solution or when future trying to brand it and etc.
So could I just ask, so this little micro project has come out of this particular breakout room this evening, is that correct?
Yeah, this one session. In fact, free. It's 3 of them.
3.
3 of
Okay.
them. Yeah.
And so from here, then, do the teams stay together, or how does it move forward from here, from the Miro board to the next level? Do the groups stay together, or what's the framework or mechanism for progressing from here forward?
But we're still but we're still experimenting with this process. So
Right.
so this is kind of, we don't really have
Framework.
Ideally, we'd like to. That would be great if we could just take this forward in 3 separate teams and stuff like that. But we don't have the resources to do that.
Right.
But it's a kind of testing this process to see if it's useful for people.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way it has worked before, for example, in Fund 5, I created 2 mini proposals using this process, but I did it pretty much alone. So idea here is to go through this step by step. We are making video content. We are capturing from that video content like more static content and making video materials. And we have this Catalyst school coming up where we do these workshops like, hey, join in, you have a problem, and it helps you literally guide you through the process. And then they can personally, once they go through it, they will have their own knowledge how to start creating mini proposals, so they don't need the guidance. But it's also nice to have like a collective sessions where we all together put our minds to create mini proposals. And so there's a lot of things at once what's running in parallel, but yeah, no particular teams. Another thing we're trying is we're actually, these problems now, which we stated, in future sessions, every time I will, not this time I didn't, but usually I give a suggestion, hey, do you want to improve the entire process, start a new mini proposal, or use somebody else's problem statement and continue with it. So for example, we have had 3 sessions before where in one group we created the problem and we added some solutions, and then another week totally different people started branding the idea and doing this with, and I'm missing the last town hall here, but that would be also interesting to see if we could make it so that you don't need a team. You can just have a bunch of people who know the stuff and able to capture the main key events or the ideas what was passed from previous team, and then like modularly pull this up, and whoever started the problem, who actually sees the problem, he can see, oh, I have all the answers now, and he can simply like find it, formulate it, and put it in IdeaScale. So
that's like drafting a proposal in a distributed way. So basically, no one owns the proposal. The proposal is autonomous, and it's workshopped as it goes through. I mean, the thing I've been doing with Tevo is like Tevo's been designing the workshops, but I've also been documenting them as we're going along to see if it can be translated into a linear format. So the Miro boards, if you like, think of that creating content. And then we kind of observe, Tevo does his own analysis of the workshops, but then I come and I look at them and I see, well, could this be used for training materials? You know, and then can I translate this into training materials? And maybe it can, maybe it can't, you know. So it's lots of things on lots of different levels that we're trying to do here. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, what Stefan just mentioned, like analyzing, this is what I do. I will copy paste what we did on this session in a different Miro board. And then I start watching the video. I'm gonna clip it, make it more better, and then I'm gonna like make it step by step. And then I will assess like what I spoke about. So I will learn myself like where I messed up or where I kind of confused people. And so it's a learning process even for me. I'm not like a teacher or anything. I'm just here to spread my ideas. And this way I will also like figure out how could we improve this process. And the like purpose things are what we're like, how to actually improve the process itself. So every time it will grow out, and I will do this iteratively, and hopefully over long term of time, maybe in 2 months, we will have a much more like even easier process than right now.
Okay, and so these Miro boards, it seems like that you've been working on a series of town hall events in these micro project rooms. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it means that if I want to come back here next week to contribute, I could just come into the micro project room and help, or tidy up the. Okay, gotcha. The post-its. Okay.
Yeah, and we might be doing something completely different now because we don't really know what we'll be doing because it'll be up to the group.
It's free flowing. It's fluxing. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So it's like a sort of a quantum.
Well, it's not completely free flowing because there is decisions being made, and once the decision's been made, we are trying to refine something.
Understood.
Yeah, but
it is taking advantage of like people's I guess the quantum, like just random generative thoughts that people have after stimuli, and it's it's kind of like it's pretty magical, honestly.
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely. But also we end up talking about different aspects of Cardano. We saw here, we talked about the financial aspect of Cardano. We talked about gaming. What else did we talk about? We talked about trust. And these are all totally different areas, in one workshop, and we don't really know. We're trying to reverse engineer it as well. Yeah. Because we're saying, because we're getting to this problem of, I think Adam and Blake picked this up. We rush to these solutions, So, I know what the solution is, and then, but it's turning the solution into a problem. What is the problem?
Right.
It's quite.
Have you held these workshops where you actually get all the way through to the end? Because I mean, it took us an hour or two just to do step 1 out of 14.
It would take us. It would take us a whole day, I think. It would take,
I could handle a day away.
Yeah, I would do something like this for a day. I wonder if you should do something like that where you make sure we actually get through the whole thing by the end of the day. And
I think like a more scheduled and like I guess targeted for certain audiences in the Cardano network, that could work, but it probably would have to be like something you really you have to like know who you're looking for.
Yeah, we are doing that. We are using Tevo as well. Is I don't want to speak for Tevo because we are looking at using this method in different contexts, like maybe hackathons, maybe in proposals themselves, and all that kind of thing. Because as we refine this, it'll gain value. And
everybody can use it.
Hopefully, yeah.
The way I see it right now, we're just showing it to see if there is even any interest, and I'm glad that you're saying that. Oh, I would like to do it the entire day. This means I should do some registration, because I tried at the start before I even started Townhall. I was like, okay, let's do registration forms, and it didn't actually work out. So now, but in Townhall, people join in, they're like interested. Oh, proposals, I know there is coming up the session, and this like gradually working up a group who is interested to do this. It takes a bit of time. It's 4th time right now where we have.
I think it also, to be fair, I think we also started in the middle of the summer holidays, so it was quite quiet, and also we did Saturday sessions as well. So we found it very different. The after town hall audience or participants are very different from the Saturday ones. I mean, by the way, we may do this on Saturdays. I'm not sure if we'll do it this Saturday or not, but we sometimes do it on Saturday swarm sessions as well.
The Saturday guys like more. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Terry, go.
Sorry, I was just asking, how would we find out if it's happening on Saturday?
We will. Oh God.
Like in the Telegram or?
Yeah, again, I think the main place to be will be in Discord for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm there.
And if you're
there's 1,000 rooms in there. Which one are we looking at here?
I would go to, well, if you can join.
Announcements, there will be different. If we are going to make a mini proposal session there, and announcements will happen. So don't mute that. But probably if you're going to do something like that, we're going to give a head start. Even in a town hall currently, I could say, hey, this next Saturday or in after Saturday or something like that. I will probably mention it to get people. I'm not gonna just say it. Okay, I'm gonna do it alone now. I won't say it. Nobody, it's nothing.
Yeah, I think we need to, because we're kind of getting out of this. We were doing this process of discovery to see who's interested, and I think it's starting to build up a bit of momentum now. So I think we have to take seriously, you know, how to communicate these sessions better, you know, but we certainly will do after town halls. And maybe, I won't say right now, but possibly Saturdays as well, you know, and, you know, but we will announce that in the main Discord Catalyst server.
If I might ask, what is the Discord server?
Yeah, the Swarm one is a good one as well, because it's quite, you know, there's a lot of activity there as well.
And then my second question would be, Tevo, did you get this 14-step process from like a certain source? Is this something that you came up with yourself? Like, is there a way that I could get like a copy of this to run through myself as well?
If you go to this Miro board, you can pretty much just copy paste it to your Miro.
Okay.
Or so that's one thing.
Open source.
The full solution is here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a written form of it, but yeah. But I have went through I could give you the solutions what I have done before, which got funded also, if you are interested. Then from this is also open Miro board.
Okay.
You can just go through and look the videos and analyze whatever and see what I've done. But basically, why I sent this link here, the second solution is something I put as an IdeaScale. So if I've even made the pictures how it would look like in IdeaScale.
Okay.
And that is and all this small text is the result of entire that workshop. Answering that, Adam, like it doesn't actually take entire day. If we look at the timers, I think this took me, but yeah, it at first it does take a lot of time when you're getting custom with it. But from pretty much 1900, hopefully I didn't do any breaks here. 19, then almost 3 hours to create entire proposal. And then on top of that, it took me a bit time to formulate it, 40 minutes. So
that's doable. I mean, if you were doing it as a kind of workshop you may want to break that up into a day,
right?
Yeah, just so you could have a break for people, maybe Tevo. I'm not sure. Or do you think?
That process was when I was alone, so you don't have. But in a collective, it probably compounds into more.
Yeah, but it sounds doable. It sounds doable, like a morning session and an afternoon session, maybe.
Or, you know, I mean, if you it's a good way for a team to, especially a team that maybe they just met each other and they know they have some similar ideas, but they're willing to be flexible, right, to collaborate on developing a proposal over the course of 4 to 8 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. And it's something that we should probably think about more, actually, because maybe we should communicate to teams as Tevo as well, like particularly as we're getting into the funding rounds now. So maybe we should say to Fund 6 team, send out a message to say Fund 6 teams, come and join us, that kind of thing. Because you're right, I think it would be because that would be quite an interesting dynamic as well, wouldn't it? You know, because they'd be much more orientated with each other, hopefully.
And they'd feel like they have a lot more stake in the ideas that we're iterating on as well.
Yeah,
so they're like willing to sit there for 8 hours and work on it.
Yeah.
Well, and like if I get together with Sean and I want to create the Venmo for Cardano, and Sean wants to create, the way to leverage your locked assets, it's going to be hard for us to figure out, okay, where's the compromise? But if we go to the why, maybe more likely we say, okay, well, we can all get behind that why, right? and
Yeah.
now let's go through the rest of the process.
And then if you have like both of those solutions in mind, and you kind of still want to branch towards, and he wants to branch towards the credit card option, you know how those will be able to interoperate a lot better because you're asking like, why are we doing it in the first place? And it'll all work out as long as you go through the process.
We found in some workshops, the ones that went on for 3 times, we found that in one of them, they found out the original problem was flawed. So when you don't ask the right questions at the beginning, it can throw the whole thing off. You know, so again, that's really quite interesting. This sort of, I suppose it's maybe obvious, but you know, I mean, that's why workshopping at the beginning and particularly focusing on the problem is so important. You know, because if you get that wrong, then you can just go off in a completely wild direction. You know, so
that's basically what happened with my my proposal, because I went like way too specific and I was like thinking way too much of the solutions. But now that I'm like going through this and I've been in these talks a bit more, like I definitely am like getting an idea of how I'm going to be wording it and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Also, the vote, that's what the voters see. The voters just see a problem statement and a solution statement on their, you know, when they vote for something. So again, it's very important to know, be very clear about what your problem is and your solution is. But then that's very easy to say, but then there's all this work that you have to do to refine that. You know, it's quite
and not be too yeah, I don't want to be too particular about solutions either. Like you kind of want to be not like vague, but certain in what you're saying, but not, the scope needs to be reasonable for what you're actually like trying to achieve. So.
Yeah, that's right. And understandable by, I suppose, the general voter. That's the system we're in at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that may change in time if we change the voting system, but yeah, who knows? Yeah. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah.
And